Okay. Right. Where's my face? Let me open up my face. Float on top. Yep. Okay. I think this is long overdue. So, I'm looking at my screen on top. So probably not gonna look at the camera. We've stopped here previously on this slide. We shall continue probably 3 more slides. I think this shouldn't be a long one. It should be quite straightforward. So after the use cases for each and different stakeholder or team in the construction industry or built environment industry, make sure I'm not on mute. Yep, okay. The next one will be I would like to touch on the framework or the concepts. In order for all those use cases to come true, one must not assume that technology itself will make everything a reality. Everything that I've mentioned previously in the previous slides or videos can only be achieved with a whole transformation from each of the parties, each of the stakeholders. So in order for that to happen, in order for a better delivery of projects and better use of the asset and better information transfer between every stakeholder, there needs to be a framework. So the framework for that to happen, the framework for the bigger picture will be a integrated project delivery, which in simple terms it's a integrated way of delivering projects, hence the name. In some cases, this is, I would say, in most of the case, this will be the ideal scenario, which I personally is trying to find this utopia in the industry itself. So this slide here is to provide whoever that I'm giving this presentation to the idea or the framework that should be taken into consideration if they expect the implementation of technology to help with their project and help them get more out of their investment. So with that said, with that introduction, the following few slides will address those frameworks or those that you can see on the screen. So the first one will be, in order for IPD to be executed, there are, I think 5 things or 5 items or 4 items that needs to be think of. The first one to the right over here, so it's integrated information. As you can see, this is on the first of this list, which means this is the basis, or this is the first item that we should look at to improve the industry right now. Integrated information, it's very simple. To me, it is BIM. It is building information management and building information modeling. Modeling could be subjective. Management is the main key point here. So a integrated information within a integrated within an information model will help the transmittal or the sharing of models or information towards every party. Without that, basically that's what's happening in the industry right now. Every party will have to spend a lot of time scanning through all the tender drawings. A lot of it aren't linked properly. A lot of it have discrepancy. Hence, a lot of VOs, a lot of RFIs, and a lot of misunderstandings. That is from tender stage. When we go into construction stage, those kind of issues will magnify, will become VOs, and will cause delays. So with an integrated information system, with a managed information, those errors can be minimized. The risk of those errors being enlarged or deteriorate during construction stage can be minimized and mitigated. So the next one will be, I would say, in order to have a integrated information system, integrated organization is also very important. So how the organization from the client level, from the asset owners level, down towards subcontractor or supplier level, understands this process. Or put it at another perspective, the process of project delivery in different areas or in different countries are depending on their culture. So in order for, and also the rebarment of work and the contracts and all that, however, the culture itself plays a lot of role, plays the majority here. So in order for every party to be integrated, to be at the same level of understanding of the information in the project, it needs to be integrated. In simple terms, to my understanding, contractual relationships. So in order for a project team to be integrated as a integrated organization, a contractual relationship between them should be a collaborative contract. They shouldn't be just someone to bring in and get the job done. They should be there to understand the job from start to finish, especially during design stage. They should be there to provide inputs of their expertise, so their point of view or their understanding of problems that might happen can be mitigated very early on. Organization wise, in terms of single organization, the higher management or senior management or even the C-suite levels must have understanding on these, on BIM, on integrated project delivery, on a more collaborative way of delivering their assets. If you are coming from a client's perspective, the client's team from top to bottom should understand the process, should understand a new way of delivering projects. If you're coming in from a consultant's perspective, of course, it depends on the contract that you have signed with the client. But as if you are brought in as a digital engineering consultant or a BIM consultant, you should provide advice to the client that things needs to change, what needs to be changed, how can things change in order for them to deliver the project that they want. Of course, what is their expected outcomes, what things that they would like to solve, what are their KPIs that they would like to hit. In terms of if you are coming in, if you're looking at it from a contractor's standpoint, a lot of the larger contractor firms, larger contractors, they have integrated, they have new ways of delivering projects in terms of constructing it. They have new ways, better ways of sharing information. They have better ways for quality controls and site verifications. From subcontractors to suppliers, how would you digitize it? Does your boss or does your employer understand the benefit of digitizing? What can be done? Or how can you push the industry? How can you propose this new way of working as a subcontractor to a main contractor? All those needs to be collaborated. Everyone needs to be integrated together. And then third one in the middle will be integrated processes. Integrated processes, as mentioned, I think previously in the previous slides, the process, the workflow of delivering project in such a way. Since we are using information models, since we are using, some might use VRs, some might use ARs, some are using iPads, some have tools to verify site installation, some have tools to do 3D design coordination early on. So all those process needs to be thought through, needs to be in mind, needs to be planned out by either the digital engineering or digital delivery manager or a BIM manager, how all these new processes can integrate into the current culture. Without a good understanding of how to merge those two together, people won't change, people are reluctant to change, and engineers, designers, and installers, builders, they wouldn't want to use this new process if it doesn't suit them. If you don't provide enough training, if you do not understand how they do design coordination and how they have to present their design to the client or to persuade anyone else. So those process, those workflows needs to be integrated, those needs to be collaborated and agreed, discussed and agreed early on. Systems. What systems to use? I would say that will be the software part of it. Do we use Google Cloud, Google Drive, Dropbox, or should we go for a common data environment by the standards of ISO 19650? Or can we just get by a project local server, a Synology server? Those are systems that have to be technological systems, IT systems that has to be discussed or agreed upon early on, that has to be consulted. I would say a BIM consultant should have this discussion with every party, find the middle ground, and agreed on those solutions, those softwares that should be used within that project itself. For example, like I've mentioned, CDE or just a simple Synology server, can it do the job? That really depends on the project itself, the co-location requirements itself. Softwares, the very basic softwares, model softwares, CAD softwares, what else? High-speed internet, method of doing virtual design reviews, method of looking at constructability, risk analysis, method of getting 4D, BIM 4Ds, and I think another thing that I have found that I think is really important as of right now is the hardware that all the engineers are using. Please stop giving them those very small laptops that are useful for email viewings. That is totally not sufficient to view models. Yeah, and I think license keys is also another thing that cripple the engineers. They can't learn because their management do not provide the software, so they would just skip through it, use the free software that they have been using since day one. And of course, if your management doesn't provide the software, as a normal engineer, how would you argue with your management that you need them while other engineers doesn't? So that is also another thing. Of course, the integrated systems itself, you can also talk about the way that the systems work as a building services system. How can it be integrated each other? And lastly, throughout this process, if everything is executed in the way they should be, collaboration is in the core of it. The delivery of the building, the asset, or the project should be a really good one, since everyone is on the same page, is using the same process and systems, and having adequate time to do their design and construction coordination. So moving forward, back to providing training to our clients. So the BIM strategy that we bring to the table will be, I would say, this 5 of it. So we try to bring on the digital approval process that really subject to change management or the ability of adaptation from the main contractor and the subcontractor themselves. Model exchange strategy that will depend on the softwares and the workflows that we have set up. This is a must. Info exchange strategy, how they should exchange info, when they should do it. Common data environment management, that is done by us, and BIM management strategy, that is done by us as well. I'm not going to explain these two in depth. And yep, this is how we break down, or this is how we manage the information containers. Yep. And this we are using purely BIM 360 as our CDE for these few LTA projects, as we are able to do so, and we are quite familiar with it. And our model exchange or information exchange strategy is to use versioning instead of adding dates to the back of the file name. So we keep the same name. The name structure will depend on the EIR, and we will it will be shared every weekly, and the version will go up. So you just have to come back to the same location, look at the same file name, just check on the upload date, and make sure it's relevant, and download it from there. For virtual design and construction, this is what we bring to the table. So virtual design reviews, we support that. For 4D simulation, site simulation, or site situation modeling. 5D taking offs, so how the QS will be using it during design and construction stage for their material takeoff, quantity takeoff, and the claims. For FM, how does our BIM 60 model, or I think 60 is a very vague term, how does our asset information model can be used or merged with a facilities management system. That is still under discussion as of right now, December the 2nd, 2021. And 3D laser scanning that can be used for as-built scanning of the whole asset, or it can be used as partial as-built scanning throughout the project. That really depends on budget and contract. So these are the examples for 4D simulation. These kind of videos are used to help the main contractor with their presentation to the client, or they would use it for their internal training, making sure that their staffs understand how things should be done, which take a lot of time, to be honest. This is a basic rebar modeling of the substructure, slab, and the column to check of congestion of rebars. That will help the main contractor, the builder, to understand how the consultants design this in this particular area, which is really congested, and then they will bring it up to their consultants and help them, ask them to review. And then yep, this is just an example. A lot of the suppliers, manufacturers, when you buy a physical product from them, you are entitled, or you are able to download a digital copy of it that is built by the manufacturer themselves. So which means they are the information model, the 3-dimensional information model comes with a much accurate information in it and a better geometrical view of the model themselves, of the equipment themselves. Yeah. And this is just the example of the use case of 5D and 6D here. Yeah. So this is Boon Lay Station. Over here is Jurong Point. Yeah. So we scan this and then we put it into our modeling software, and we create a 3D information model of the station. And this is how taking off should look like through color codes, but of course it all depends on the software itself. Yeah, I think this is quite straightforward. Just a few more slides of this part of the presentation. Do view the video in 1.5 or 2 times the speed. I tend to speak quite slowly because I'm thinking on the fly. I think that's all you need to know for LTA training. That this should be sufficient enough. This should be sufficient for you to go through the training, going through the slides for at least 45 minutes and explain clearly to our clients what we are providing, what we are doing, and the idea behind all this. Yeah. So the next one, whatever I can think of, I'll continue to record and put it up on this channel. Yeah. So thank you very much. Let me stop this.